LAMDA, but you demonstrated this conversational aspect of AI where it sort of uses information to answer questions about itself. So the demo was talking to Pluto, which was pretty cool. You know, Pluto gets to defend itself. Maybe it's a little underrated, but I imagine, like, my brain immediately went to, well, what other things could you synthesize a conversation with? And I went straight to, like, people, like other existing people. Are there lines you won't cross with things like Project Lambda where, like, should you not be allowed to synthesize conversation with someone who's alive? Or how do you think about, like, where Lambda can go?
I want to stress Lambda is still research, right?
Yeah.
And, so we're pushing the boundary there. This is why we, articulated our AI principles very clearly and publicly, so that we have a framework to think through anything like this. When it comes to product, I think, it's really important, like, AI is not ever used in an impersonation way, or you have to think through the right constructs for how it is used. And so we are much more focused on using Lambda to understand language deeper.
Yeah.
And in the context, you can imagine talking to Google Assistant.
Yeah.
So first of all, search today, if it understood language deeper, or even in YouTube, when we are trying to understand what's in a video, right? The fact that we can understand language deeper would make a big difference. So that's the primary purpose. But in conversing with an assistant, we can make conversations much more natural. So the intent isn't to, Pluto and a paper airplane are more benign examples, but we would have to have ethical principles and guidelines around anything we develop there.
What smartphone do you have in your pocket and why? That's probably the number one question people want me to ask you.
It changes a lot. Depends on the day of the week. Probably not as many as you play around with, but someday, it may not be too far off either. But I do try out almost every phone, at least for a little bit. I shouldn't say every phone, most phones.
Okay.
But right now in my pocket is a Pixel.
It's a Pixel.
I should pull it out.
I was gonna say it could be any Pixel.
So
okay.
It's a Pixel, but it's the released version of the Pixel now. But I've enjoyed using the S21, and and I check out everything that comes in the market, a OnePlus maybe, and play around with it. iPhones across our products work across everything, so I'm testing a lot of devices.
Yeah, it feels like if you're in, you started at Google with Chrome, and then obviously with Android, and now overseeing everything. Does it ever feel like you're too in the weeds to appreciate how other people might use the product? Because when I'm making a video, for example, I might spend 5-6 hours on an edit, and then I'm watching it back looking for little things, and I might kind of lose the bigger picture of the person who jumps in for the first time. If you're using Android 12 and new features coming out, and you're testing it on whatever daily phone it is, does that ever feel like a challenge to step back and remember, like, people have to use this for the first time and how they'll interact with it? Or do you feel like you've sort of got that down to a science?
No, well, what you talk about, it's the art of product management, I think, stepping back. So there's a difference between, hey, translation is exciting, we can build it in Chrome, to how would you do it in a way in which for most people it kind of naturally works.
Yeah.
And designing it are two different things, I think, and so there's a lot of that. But I actually find your point even broader. A lot of the way when I do reviews with other teams, the perspective I almost always bring, and it could be anyone else in my position, is, because the teams are so in the effort of what they are doing, it's tough for them to sometimes see the forest instead of the trees, and so it's a lot of what real life is about, I think.
I want to ask about your like overall view of becoming a CEO of Google. Like, you grew up in India, you've mentioned didn't have access to the internet or a computer for a long time, and then you came to the US and you had access to the internet. Are there things that still surprise you about, like, the advancements in tech and accessibility today, even though you've seen so much of a difference between the beginning of your career and now?
I think for me, because growing up, every moment was discrete. Like I had to wait a long time to get something, and then I saw the impact of it.
Right.
So waited 5 years on a wait list to get a rotary telephone, right? And you may not know what a rotary telephone
Heard
is.
about those.
I heard about those. But, kind of changed the life for me, my parents. In our streets, people would come to our home to kind of use it to talk to their family and friends. So I've always had that, the impact of how it can change people's lives. Where it most directly impacted me is I got inspired by the One Laptop Per Child project, which was being done by Negroponte at the time out of MIT. And I today look back at Chromebooks or Android phones, and to me it feels like it's an explicit continuation of that journey, which was inspiring to me.
Right. Here's maybe an interesting question. The tech CEO has sort of become like its own genre of celebrity in a weird way, in a way that it probably wasn't even thought about 10, 20 years ago. Do you think about that at all? Like, obviously there's this new curiosity about some of the most powerful companies in the world and the people that run them. Being a pretty understated guy, I would assume you're probably not all about the spotlight, but I'm curious what you feel about that.
I recognize the responsibility which comes with it. The scale at which tech is working in the world. I think there is an importance to it, and rightfully there is accountability that comes with it. And I think the importance of engaging and explaining yourselves internally and externally that comes with it. But beyond that, I don't think too much about it, and on a day-to-day basis is not how I approach it. Yeah,
that's fair. I like that answer. So let's say you fast forward, let's go 50 years into the future. You're retired from Google, from tech. How do you want your fingerprint here in the tech world to be remembered?
I would love it to be about enabling radically more access to both information and computing to more people. That's a big part of what I think about, really driven by it. But beyond that, I've always been interested in driving deeper technological progress. And obviously you have to take that and translate it into product and business success, right? And it goes hand in hand. But I think, driving AI forward responsibly, is a big part of what I think and work a lot on.
Sure. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to a lot of the new stuff that's coming out. Very excited about Android 12 and like all the customization and what is it called? Something U. Material U. Like it's a cool idea. So I'm looking forward to trying that out. But thanks for the time. I appreciate the interview and hopefully get to do it again sometime.
All right. Thanks, Marcus. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's Boardsy, and this is the most bizarre mouse I have ever used, and it is being sold as the cure to carpal tunnel. Well, not exactly that, but a preventative measure for a carpal tunnel, and it is a mouse that is clearly just designed in an obscure way, and you're supposed to click with this part of your finger. And when I tell you this feels unnatural, I don't even have anything to compare it to. They do request for people to use this for 100 days before judging it, but that's not gonna fucking happen. And this mouse, it used to be $400, and I had heard of it before, but they did send it out to me, so I'm very thankful. Now it is down to a chilly $150, but yeah, when it was $400, I was like, literally, what the fuck? And this mouse does have a backstory, and we're just going to quickly go over that. So one of its main selling points is that it has this endorsement of a doctor whose name, Mike Xenakis. Is that Mike? Weird way of spelling Mike. No judgment to him, of course. But he basically fucking shills this mouse. And most of this paper is just explaining like what carpal tunnel is. I read like every single word, got very bored. But at the end he says, by extension, therefore, we can classify the Quadroclicks RBT mouse as a preventative measure against against carpal tunnel syndrome. So that is really what their mouse is. It is a carpal tunnel miracle. So all of the teenagers watching my videos using ultralight 2s, you guys are ruining your wrists, and you need to get this mouse, or else your hands, they're gonna go to shit. It's the worst thing ever. This is making it seem like I ironically don't think carpal tunnel's bad. Fuck, I don't know where I stand on this matter. Let's take a look at this video.
Ask you a question. Do you have a mouse?
You mean like a pet mouse?
I hope not. I don't like mice.
No, I mean one of these. Or this. Or one of these.
I don't like using a computer mouse because it's not comfortable in my hand.
Do you know what they all have in common?
No.
They can all lead to...
Or?
Yes, ARG, also known as carpal tunnel syndrome, which you may know, if not treated, can
What am I watching? I'll save you guys the cringe, but this part's very important.
RBT technology. Even this doctor agrees.
Quadriclicks reduces tendon stress and provides less muscle fatigue for increased accuracy and performance as compared to conventional computer mouse devices. Most importantly, it will greatly reduce the probability of acquiring tendon pathology like carpal tunnel syndrome.
I note how they didn't even say the doctor's name. They just said this doctor. Nobody knows how to pronounce that dude's first name. But yeah, he just gave a very natural endorsement of the mouse, and I don't know, I'm just... Fuck. Sure, you want to make a joke about it, but if it is this medical miracle, maybe everybody should be switching to it. We get a horrible stiff braided cable. We get like fucking Teflon mouse feet, which are pretty thin. I will say they're not the worst part of this mouse. The fact that it's 105 grams and has this just weird click implementation, I think that's what's really making this not the next big gaming mouse. I have used this mouse in game and it was just not a fun experience. I really did struggle to hit the right click. Like, I wasn't even trying to hit it with my fingertip. I was doing the amazing grip that you're forced into by this mouse, and it's just like, I don't know, I could not get the right click to work while I was playing, so I could never like fucking ADS, and it was just like actually a nightmare. The way they like have a thumb rest, clearly, so you put your thumb in there, and it is just impossible to hit the side buttons without moving your thumb like above the thumb rest. It is just, it's poorly designed. It has bad features. The fact that this mouse was $400 at one point and a few people unironically bought it, fuck. And just going back to the side buttons, if you wanted to use these in game, it would be impossible. They're very recessed. You see, like, they're one of the worst tension buttons I've ever seen. So much fucking pre-travel. The quality of this mouse, I will say, like, the sidewalls are pretty strong. There is a lot of rattling. No idea what that rattle is coming from, but there is quite a bit of it. And yeah, this mouse is mainly sold because you're using certain muscle groups when you click like this. What I don't understand is if you're like clicking like this, you're not using the carpal tunnel muscle groups. You still have to like bring your finger up for the scroll wheel. It's like you're still doing that just because of how a scroll wheel works. Like if you go at it with a very small amount of your finger, you're just not going to be able to scroll enough. So I don't know. It seems like they only really address the clicking part. But if you're like a spastic Fortnite player, you're still going to be going like this and shit. I got this mouse for free, not expecting much, and I was still disappointed. So imagine how you would feel if you bought it. The scroll wheel, it just really feels like an old, like, office wheel scroll wheel, similar to what was on the WMO. The mouse feet, let's see, wow, they're gliding decently on a Shinnenkai. As I mentioned before, this mouse is 105 grams. I've presumed it was going to be a little front heavy. It looks like that is what the makeshift weight balance test is saying. But honestly, just you don't pretend this mouse doesn't exist. Pretend you never watched this video. But make sure to leave a like and sub. And if you want to read up on the science or just look at their website, I'll leave the links to that.
morning. Confidence soaring. Thought you moved on to a new thing. You keep it revolving. I look so good dressed in nothing. You ended up falling. I never needed your shelter. I'm going no warning. My love like a city. All night everywhere. You love being with me. You'll never forget. 24/7 in heaven. No, nothing compares. Don't you get over the feeling that you just keep spinning over there, spinning over there, spinning over there. You just keep spinning over there, spinning over there, spinning over there. You just keep. You must be wondering. Amphetamines in your brain. Maybe you're suffering. I must be causing you pain. I bet you did the same, but you never regret a thing. 'Cause the game feels so good to find. Yeah, woo. You just keep spinning. Yeah, you just keep spinning over there, spinning over there, spinning over there. Yes, you just keep spinning over there, spinning over there, spinning over there. Yes, you just keep. My best friend told me to say, forgot that I had one. I'm on my knees and I pray. Shouldn't have mentioned I'm back here after Thursdays. Glad that we catch up. But all they fucking props, I know you just keep spinning over there, spinning over there, spinning over there. You just keep spinning over there, spinning over there, spinning over there. You just keep spinning. My love like a city. Spinning everywhere, spinning over being with me. You just keep spinning,
Score, bro. Holy shit. 853. That was a really good performance. Coffee. I'm not listening to any talks now, so I'm just gonna raise the volume of this one.
Wait lang, hindi ko pa na-compute. Mga 20 something pesos. Kasi nga kinocompute ko yung kinocompute ko yung percentage.
Hindi yung
Hindi yung receipt price yung hati ko. Hugasan ko yun mamaya. Hugasan ko yun mamaya. Well, tubig lang naman nilagay ko. Hugasan pa ba yan? Lagyan ko lang na mainit ng tubig.
Go, baby. No. Holy shit, I'm hitting, dude. It's pretty high. It's higher than average. Let's see what the average is. Yeah, it's higher than
今 今この景色の全てが笑ってくれるわけじゃないけど、それでもいい、これは僕の旅。夕べの雨のことなんか覚えていないようなお日様を、夕べできた水たまりが映してキラキラキラキラ息をしてる。高く遠く広すぎる空の下、おはよう僕は昨日からやってきたよ。なくせない記憶は傘のようにカバンの中で出番を待つ。手探りで今日を歩く今日の僕があの日見た虹を探すこの道を疑ってしまう時は教えるよ、あの時の心の色。胸の奥君がいる場所、ここでしか会えない瞳、ずっと変わらないままだからほっとしたりたまに目をそらしたり、思い出すと寂しいけど思い出せないと寂しいこと、忘れないことしかできない夜を越えて続く僕の旅。治らない古い傷はなかったかのように隠すお日様が昼間の星と同じだね。本当はキラキラキラキラこの街中に歯磨きして顔を洗って気がめたらいつもと同じ足で出かけようぜ。相変わらずの猫背でもういいよ、僕が僕を笑えるから。涙の砂散らばる銀河の中、疲れた靴でどこまでだって行ける。つまずいて転んだ時は教えるよ、置き方を知ってること。たまりがそれでもキラキラキラキラ青く揺れる。高く遠く広すぎる空の下、おはよう僕は昨日からやってきたよ。なくせない記憶も傘のようにカバンの中で明日へ向かう。手探りで今日を歩く今日の僕があの日見た虹を探す今日の僕を疑ってしまう時は教えるよ、あの時の心の色。いつかまた会うよ、戻れないあの日の七色。 Trying to wrap my head around all that we have talked about. It's killing me, killing me. It's killing me, killing me so. Look at what we turned into. Now I'm like a ghost to you. Look at me, look at me. Look at me, look at me. I didn't see this coming, but I would still go all in.